Hello everybody and welcome to the MABL World Series Daily News Show. I'm Joel Becker.
And I'm Amber Boletto.
Well, the first set of champions have been crowned at the 25th anniversary of the World Series, and we're raring for action in week 2.
That's right, Joel. Plus, I spoke to an umpire who flies south for the winter and another umpire who flies all over.
Sounds like intriguing stuff. Let's get right to the week 2 action at the 25th anniversary of the MABL World Series. Let's get to some game shots. At Tempe Diablo Stadium, 55 and over Woodbat Central, the Racine Blues NorCal Giants, a bit of a laugher in this one. Giants on top 17-0, top of the 7th, with a man on first and nobody out. Elgin Williams now at the plate for the Giants, and he will take one into center field over the second baseman's head, right center. Bit of a Texas leaguer there. First and second, nobody out. Art Sears now at the dish, and he will send one sharply up the middle for another base hit. That will load them up. This has kind of been a recurring theme for Racine in this game. Brings up Rick Vredenberg, and he, standing in from the left side, will drive one into center. Could be caught, but it is not. Dropped by the center fielder. That's going to score a run, but the man on second had to wait to see if that would get caught, so he will be nailed at third. Williams for the first out of the inning. Score 8-5 on the putouts. Steve Mailer now grounding to second base. That'll be the second out of the inning. Runners advance to second and third. Greg Cesarin at the dish will swing and hit one to third, and Vredenberg will run into the out there on the force. No run scored, but Giants go on to win 18-0. One of the more interesting members of the World Series staff is Ken Vanderpool, a world-renowned umpire and former recipient of the Ed Carter Award as MSBL Umpire of the Year. Ken's traveled all over the world training umpires and spreading enthusiasm for baseball, and has a veritable plethora of stories to tell. Our Amber Boletto was fortunate enough to sit down with Ken and get a few for us.
Amber Boletto here with Ken Vanderpool. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you very much. So part of the daily news show, what we're trying to do is give the viewers a little behind the scenes action, and there's lots of guys, lots of manpower that goes into making this actually happen. So what exactly is your role here for the World Series?
Pretty much anything that Tom Prendergast needs to have done. I work as an assistant to him in the tournament office. My history here is I came out back in 1990, about 22 years ago, as an umpire. Fell in love with the system that MSBL has worldwide, and just decided this is where I want to be every year, and I've been coming back since then.
Very nice. Are we going to see you umping a couple games?
No, I stopped umpiring about 6 years ago actively here at the World Series in order to work on the staff. And Tom needs a lot of support people because he has a tremendous responsibility, does a wonderful job. But folks probably have no idea how much there really is involved in running the world's largest baseball tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm getting a little taste of that myself, and I'm very proud of you guys and in awe, really. I've seen a couple guys that aren't from this country running around, and I heard you have something to do with that. Can you tell me about that?
Well, quite a few years ago, Steve Rosenberg, who's been very instrumental in this tournament in the past, we lost him a few years ago, but he and I started the international effort of bringing teams over here from foreign countries, and we've had them here from Venezuela, from Croatia, from the Netherlands, yeah. Australia, St. Thomas Virgin Islands, all over Eastern and Western Europe. I mean, it's been a wonderful experience for U.S. players to play against guys from other countries, and typically these other teams are a little bit behind the level of play because they haven't grown up with the sport like our people have.
Sport. Yeah.
Right, but they love baseball. They have a great passion for it, so they don't come here with any ideas that they're going to come back with a ring on their finger.
Right,
but
no expectations.
But they really want to learn the game from guys who have played it all their lives, and they have a wonderful time.
Yeah, well, they're great sportsmen. You know, the sportsmanship out there is wonderful. I see a lot of friendship and camaraderie, and I think that's what this tournament's all about, which is beautiful.
Right, and you know, if you live in Chicago and you go to Arizona and you get to go home and say, we played a team from Russia, or we played a team from Germany, you know, it's not the same as playing all the U.S. teams they're used to seeing. However, MSBL here in the States is a family. And in my 22 years, I can tell you that I've seen so many guys come back year after year after year, and they just feel like this is a family reunion. And sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but they always have a great time here.
Absolutely, and I've seen that. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ken. This is a pleasure and an honor, and I love chatting with you. And if you see me around, pull me aside, and let's get another interview again, because you're a treat. You really are.
Well, thank you, Amber. It's good to be with you.
Of course. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thanks, Amber. Well, week 2 of the 25th anniversary actually kicked off Sunday, but things really started to cook yesterday. Here's a look at where things stand early on in week 2. Lots of activity in week 2 at the 25th anniversary of the MSBL MABL World Series, just getting started. But for those of you not here in Phoenix, you're probably wondering how the weather is here. Well, we aim to please, so we sent Amber Boletto to find out. How's the weather, Amber?
Hey, Joel. I'm sweating. Back to you.
Huh. What are the odds? How about some more game shots? We start things off at Tempe 155 and over American Division. California Old Blues, Lehigh Valley Moondogs. This is actually a rematch already from a game on Sunday in pool play at the Moondogs. 1-2-0. Jim McRoberts with a swing, and with runners on first and third, the first baseman makes the play himself, get out of the inning with no damage done. So we go to the bottom of the 7th, 5-4 Blues, and this is Kevin Carney with a man already on first, a base hit into center field, first and second with nobody out in the inning, and the Blues getting things going here in the bottom of the 7th. Marty Schroeder with the sacrifice bunt, pretty well placed right down the third base line, no play. And that'll load things up with nobody out. Brings up Toby Pacias. And with the infield drawn in, a ground ball to second. They go home with it for the force, but the catcher can't hang on to the low throw. A run will score. It is 6-4. Jerry Lopez now at the dish, and he will smack one into right field. A lot of lefties on this Blues team. Everybody moves up one station. It is now 7-4 with the RBI single. Little meeting on the mound to try and figure things out for the Moondogs. That brings up Angelo Crudale, and with the bases loaded, he will line one to second. A good play for the first out. Can't double anybody up, though. That brings up George Constantino, and George will hit one in the infield again to the shortstop. This time they will go home again. Again goes by the catcher. One run will score. 8-4 for the Blues. That's the way the inning ends. Ron Wentz now in the top of the 8th, then a swing and a ground ball to second. Over to first for the first out of this inning. After the second out, Tony Spidale up with the base hit. Long run for the shortstop and too far to even make a throw. So an infield single for Spidale, 1 on and 2 out. Dennis Ritter swinging a ground ball into left field. That'll go through for a base hit. First and second, 2 outs. Close play at second, but he beat it. Brings up Rich Wesco, though, with 2 outs. Something cooking maybe for the Moondogs. Unfortunately, though, a ground ball to short. Fielder's choice over to second. Close play calls him out, and this one ends. Blues on top, 8-4. Well, the World Series is easily the biggest tournament in amateur men's baseball. Of course, there are others over the year. In the wintertime, it can be difficult to find places to play. We'll leave it to Amber Boletto to find a warm spot to check out some winter ball.
Amber Boletto here, standing here with Mike Rady. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Amber. I'm very well.
Good. And you are an umpire for the MSBL, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Nice. And this is your first time in Arizona. Where do you usually umpire?
I am based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I do everything from college to high school to Little League up in Ohio. And we go every February, my umpire partner Tim and I, to Puerto Rico for the MSBL tournament down there.
Oh, wow. How are you going to get me out there? That's the real question.
Yeah, right.
I'm quite jealous.
I can get a big umpire suitcase if you want to jump in.
Sold. I'll stop eating right now.
Thanks, Amber. You and I should start brushing up on our Spanish to prepare for this winter. In the meantime, here are more of yesterday's scores and standings. Por favor. So, Amber, you gave us our first look at the weather here in Phoenix today. That was some fine reporting there.
Oh, gracias, Joel.
So how long did you go to school to learn your meteorological prowess?
Well, you know what, Joel? It actually comes really naturally to me.
Absolutely. So we'll be seeing more reports then throughout the tournament, huh?
Yeah, sure. As soon as the weather changes, I'm on it.
Well, maybe next year then. Well, that about wraps things up for today's show. We hope you enjoyed the day's events, and we thank you for letting us bring them to you. This has been the MSBL-MABL World Series Daily News Show. I'm Joel Becker.
And I'm Amber Boletto.
Thanks for watching. Adios. We'll see you tomorrow.